1959. The American National Exhibition in Moscow. Nixon and Khrushchev are going at it right there on the show floor, arguing over which system is better, capitalism or socialism. After the argument, Nixon walks over to a booth, picks up a glass of brown liquid, and hands it to Khrushchev. Khrushchev takes a sip and freezes for a second. That one sip is what got Coca-Cola behind the Iron Curtain for the first time, but nobody actually knew what was in that bottle. For over 100 years, the whole world has wanted to know, where exactly is Coca-Cola's formula hidden? The answer? A bank vault in Atlanta, a handwritten document labeled 7X. Only a handful of executives know the combination to the safe. And there's a rule that those people can never fly on the same plane at the same time. Because if the plane went down, the formula would be gone with it. Think about that. They're guarding a piece of paper like it's a nuclear launch code. So here's the real question. Is something guarded this obsessively actually worth all that hype? Let's rewind to 1886. In Atlanta, a pharmacist named Pemberton is standing in his backyard, stirring a copper pot of syrup. Basically, the guy was in the business of selling secret tonic remedies. Coca leaf extract, cola nut, mixed with syrup, topped off with soda water. The original idea was to cure headaches and fatigue. He never expected that the taste would hook people harder than the medicine ever could. Pemberton died without ever making real money off this drink. The man who actually turned Coca-Cola into a legend was the businessman who bought the formula, Candler. Candler did one thing that shaped the next 100 years of the whole game. He didn't file for a patent, and that was on purpose, because filing a patent means the formula becomes public record. Candler basically said, "Forget that. I'm not doing anything that dumb. I'm going to keep it as a trade secret and take it to my grave. A patent only protects you for 20 years. A trade secret can protect you forever." That one decision became the foundation of the entire Coca-Cola empire. The formula went into the vault, and Coca-Cola took off running. By the 1930s, it was already selling worldwide. Around that same time, in a small pharmacy down south, a guy named Bradham was sitting there staring into space, stressed out. He wanted to make his own cola, too. Later on, he'd name it Pepsi. Pepsi's early days were rough, not glamorous at all. The company filed for bankruptcy protection twice. It barely survived long enough to even qualify for a 100-year rivalry with Coke. Pepsi had a chip on its shoulder. Going head-to-head on the formula wasn't going to work. Coke had too much of a head start, so what could Pepsi do instead? Compete on price? In 1934, Pepsi doubled the size of the bottle. Same price, 5 cents. Not a penny more. They even had the tagline ready. Twice as much for a nickel, too. That move cracked the whole industry open from the bottom up. No matter how tightly Coke guarded its secret formula, it couldn't stop Pepsi from squeezing in through the price gap. And that's how the rivalry between the two companies really began. But the real behind-the-scenes battle was just getting started. After 1959, the two companies kept going back and forth. Inside Coca-Cola, there was a story that circulated internally. The formula document was never allowed to be copied in full. Even for top executives, it was split into two halves, each half locked away in a different safe. Only 2 or 3 people at a time could ever access the complete version. At that point, this wasn't just protecting a trade secret anymore. It was basically counter-espionage. So what did Pepsi do? They switched strategies entirely. Stop fighting over the formula. Fight for people's taste buds instead. In 1975, Pepsi launched the Pepsi Challenge. They set up stands on the street, blindfolded people, and had them taste 2 colas. Guess which one was Pepsi and which one was Coke? More than half the people picked Pepsi. Coca-Cola headquarters lost it. Executives sat in the boardroom, faces turning pale, thinking, "We've guarded this secret for almost 100 years, and now people are stomping all over it in a paper cup on the sidewalk. That was a hard pill to swallow. So in 1985, Coca-Cola made a decision, one that would later end up as a case study in business schools. They changed the formula and launched New Coke. Sweeter, closer to Pepsi's taste. Executives figured this would finally crush Pepsi for good, but instead, American consumers went ballistic. Phone lines at headquarters were jammed with complaints. An elderly woman went on TV in tears saying, "You ruined the taste I grew up with." In just 79 days, Coca-Cola had to back down. They brought the original formula back, tail between their legs, and named it Coca-Cola Classic. A gamble meant to end the war once and for all ended up being the biggest blunder in Coca-Cola's history. So here's the question. Did getting forced into changing the formula mean Coke had actually lost? Not really. Behind the whole New Coke disaster was something even bigger. The public backlash showed Coca-Cola something important. That secret formula was never just about sugar water. It was a shared memory anchor for generations of Americans. What made it valuable was never the ratio of coca leaves. It was a sense of time and trust that no one could ever copy. Pepsi won on taste, Coca-Cola won on emotion. From that point on, this stopped being a fight about flavor, and the covert battle never really stopped either. There were rumors going back decades that both sides sent people undercover, posing as job applicants at the other company's bottling plants to steal technical data. In 2006, it actually happened. A Coca-Cola employee working with two accomplices secretly packed up confidential documents and a sample product, then reached out to Pepsi. They asked for $1.5 million in exchange for the information. After receiving the letter, Pepsi did something nobody expected. They didn't secretly investigate it on their own. They handed the letter straight over to the FBI. Pepsi knew exactly what was at stake. Get involved in a deal like that, and you'd never shake the corporate spy label. Better to distance yourself immediately and turn it around on them. The FBI set up a sting, had an undercover agent pose as the buyer, negotiate the price, and then made the arrest on the spot. The Coca-Cola employee was later sentenced to 8 years. This time, Pepsi didn't win by stealing. It won by refusing to. Over 100 years later, Coca-Cola's formula is still locked away in that vault in Atlanta. Pepsi has never actually gotten its hands on it. But neither company's fate was ever decided by whether the secret stayed safe. What really decided the winner was never that piece of paper in the vault. It was who figured out first that people were never really buying sugar water. So, is this rivalry ever really going to be over?